Welcome to Old Classic Car, and this collection of 100 photographs featuring classic MGs, and we begin with the world's first MG Saloon post-war car. That's followed by KSJ 538, which is an MGA fixed head coupe with an MGB alongside and a Magnette in the background. An N registration 7475 MGB Roadster chrome bumper car, one of the last. OGJ 635, that's a 1953 MG TD with the 1250cc XPAG engine. The V registration 1979 MG Midget 1500, this shared its engine with the last of the Triumph Spitfires. The rear three-quarter view now of an MGB GT from 1979. JSV 598, that's a 1938 MGTA sports car, late pre-war example. And the wonderfully original MG, this is an MG VA, again of the late 1930s. RPX 416, that's an MG Magnette, it's a ZA Magnette from 1954. The 1966 MG Midget, looks like it's prepared for mild competition use. An MG Montego, this was at Oulton Park several years ago at an MG Car Club meeting. Back to the pre-war MGs, an EZ2 444, that's an MG PB supercharged car. There's an MGC Roadster, identifiable by the hump in the bonnet to clear the straight six engine under the bonnet. VD30, that's a 1931 MG Montlery C-Type. That was being fettled again, that was at Oulton Park several years ago, as is this shot of a racing MGB Roadster, complete with hardtop. Next up, UV4285, that's an MG 1440 of 1928. One of the oldest MGs to feature in this particular collection of vintage and classic MGs, and that's followed by 621 ATF, which is 1957 MG Magnette. This is a ZB car. FY8 530, that's a 1939 MG TB. Next up, a racing MGB Roadster. And 6700RW, this car features twice in this collection. It's a 1961 MGA Roadster with the 1622cc engine, the B series. And that's followed by NS3510, that's a 1957 ZB Magnette. This was at Capesthorne Hall this year. PJ7970, that's a 1932 M-Type Midget. This appears at various VSCC events locally. An L registration, so 1973 MGB GT with a slightly different rear tailgate by the look of it. The round arch midget racing car being checked for noise levels at Oulton Park. There's an MGTD. UIB 870G, that's a 1969 MG 1300. With a 1275 A-series engine and twin carburetors. That's followed by GWS 34, that's a 1949 MGTC, taking part in a classic car road run. Back to Oulton Park and G186, that's an MG, that's a Veritone Magnette. So twin colours and the wraparound rear window. And the front view of an MGC Roadster, this was at Capesthorne Hall this year, F registration, so 1967 or 68. YSV 703, that's a 1935 MGPA. There are lots of pre-war MGs in this selection, so I'll try and get them identified correctly. That's followed by an MGB Roadster, a rubber bumper Roadster with a TF alongside. Sporty little number now, MG3701, that's a 1934 MG N-Type Special. Another one of the handsome Y Series Saloons, UMG 215, that's a 1951 MGYA. Side view of another chrome bumper MGB GT. Rubber bumper MG Midget in the background. An MG Maestro, A registration, so about 1983 or 84. Obviously the MG brand was used on a number of saloons. Here's another one, GCC 814G, that's a 1968 MG 1300. Got a MGB GT LE, Hock 682W, this was the last MG and the last MG ever made at Abingdon. And the rear view now of the MG Maestro Turbo. Of course the MG brand started out life as a tuned up version of a Morris. Front view now of an 8 registration 1969 MGB GT, the fetching pale blue. And here's a sectioned version of the MGA twin cam. Presumably this was a motor show exhibit or a training aid back in the day. Sticking with MGAs, here's a rear view of 312 UYY, which is 1956 MGA 1500. That had the 1489 B series engine. This also had the B series engine, 456 AVO, that's a 1958 Magnette ZB. That was down at the British Motor Museum. An HKC 650, that's a 1947 MGTC Midget. This car appears twice, I believe, in this collection of classic MG photos. Another sectioned MGB GT. This would have been a motor show car. This was on display down at Gaydon. And to slightly more recent times, here's an X-Power SV. Carbon fibre body, either 4.6 or 5 litre V8 engine. I think only 9 or so were sold of those. Back to classic MGs and a CSK 625, that's a 1961 MGA 1600. And a rather lovely MGSA saloon, again down at Gaydon. Rear view now of one of the big Farina MG Magnettes. .522 UYM, that's an MGTF, 1950s car, predecessor to the MGA, which we've already seen. UG281, that's a 1931 Midget C-Type supercharged car, very sporty little number. Another rear view of an MG Maestro, this is a Y registration example, so 1982 or early 1983. One of these safety development vehicles based on an MGB with various mods, different bumpers, etc, etc. And in the same collection down at Gaydon we've got another Y Series Saloon, HMO 909. A gaggle of MGs here, MGB, MGB, MGC, and there's the ZB Magnette in the background. Here's one of the speed record cars that Sterling Moss drove. There's the other example on display down at Gaydon. There's an interior view of an MGB Roadster, 1970s variety. Still plenty of photos of classic MGs to come. Here's another one. There's an MGA fixed head coupe XSJ895, which is a 1958 car fitted with the later 1800cc B series engine from an MGB. We've got a couple of MG Maestro racing cars. If you're a fan of MGs, please say so in the comments. Here's a very late Y registration, registered in October 1982, Roadster. Very late car indeed, although I believe it's built in 78, that particular car. And we've got WSU 581, that's a 1932 MG J2 Midget. D registration to 1966 MG Magnette Saloon. According to the information, that's a Mark IV. And there's the MG EXE. It was an experimental prototype car that never made it into production from the mid-1980s. An Olo 990E. That's a replica of the old Sebring MGCs, but this is B series powered, 1800cc. Followed by a standard rubber bumper MGB Roadster. NKA 571, that's another MGY series saloon. This was at the Oulton Park Classic Car Show quite a few years ago now. CSK 333F, this is a 1967 MG 1100, which has the 1098cc transverse engine twin carburetors, the sporty version of the range. Another MGA Roadster there, a TR6 alongside. Then we have a 67 MG Midget prepared for historic rallying. UMK 437, that's a 1949 MG TC, I believe, with the 1250cc X-Pag engine under the bonnet. Back to Gaydon and VHW 398, that's a 1955 MG Magnette ZA. Very handsome car indeed. That's followed by XAS 969, a race-prepared MGA fixed-head coupe. Centre lock-on wheels, a bit like the twin-cam cars had. Next up, an M-Type from 1930, SC6400. There's an F registration MGC Roadster. Handsome machine indeed. Significantly re-engineered underneath to fit that straight six engine in there. Next we've got ESV 518, which is another Y Series saloon. Bit of racing going on there. We've got an MGB hot on the heels of a Triumph TR4. Another race-prepared MGB. This looks like a V8 powered car, judging by the hump on the grille and the sticker on the front of the radiator, on the bonnet rather. There's 1958 MG Magnette. To slightly more recent times, an MG ZR racing cars at Oulton Park. Future classics, no doubt. A few more here, MG ZR 160s. There's another one, MG ZR 170. Getting scarcer on the roads now. Another midget, round wheel arch midget. There's a second photo of 6700RW, the 1961 MGA Roadster that we saw earlier on. In this particular collection of classic MGs, an FSK 898, that's a 1959 MG Magnette Mark III, the first of the Farina MG Magnettes. Underbonnet view of KWW767D, which was a 1966 MG 1100, obviously a transverse engine with the twin carbs. That's followed by an MGTF. Another chrome bumper MGB Roadster there with a hardtop fitted. Rather snazzy wheels and some great Lucas lamps on the front. There's another picture of HKC 650 and MGTC from the late 1940s. MGB GT, this is a 1969 or early 1970 example in pale blue. There's a much modified MGB Roadster, gone back to chrome bumpers. Originally it would have been rubber bumpers and fitted with a V8, or over 3.5 litre V8. That's followed by 745 YUE, that's a 1959 MGA 1500 Roadster. Very smart indeed, and an MGB alongside. Another big Farina MG Magnette. This one's from 1967. An interesting MGTB prepared for historic rallying. Very smart indeed, quite a handsome car. Another MGB Roadster with a distinctive, well-glazed hardtop fitted. If anyone knows who actually made that hardtop, please pop a note in the comments. Was it Honeyball Mouldings, perhaps? Next, FDY 788, there's an MGYB. This was at the Oulton Park Classic Car Show. JAD 913, that's a 1949 MGTC. Slightly modified by the look of that front suspension arrangement. Still a few classic MGBs to go. An LBL 301, this was a period competition car. MGA, of course. MGTF behind. Bit of historic rallying going on now with this MGB GT. And to slightly more recent times, PK53RCZ. This is one of the 2004 MG ZT 260s with the 4.6 V8 Mustang engine under the bonnet. And alongside it was this, another X-Power SV, registered in November 2011 with a 4.6 V8. And that X-Power MG rounds out this collection of 100 photos of classic MGs. If you like your old MGs or you own one now, please pop a note in the comments and say hello. More videos coming along very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.